Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for arriving promptly. Right, we're ready to start this morning's session on emergency public warning systems. We're going to start with Celltick. But those of you who are astute will have noticed that Celltick's stand has a different name on it to just Celltick. So I think, Ronen and Mike, we're going to start off with some exciting commercial announcements by Celltick. So I'll leave that with you. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you and welcome here to this session. So my name is Michael Rücker from Utimaco. I'm their Vice President, Deputy Vice President and Head of Business Development for the telecommunication business. And as you have maybe seen in the press release last week, that Utimaco has acquired Celltick, and just want to give you some very brief background about that. Maybe if you can show the first slide. Celltick and next one. Next one. Yeah, some basic information about Utimaco, who we are and what's the background of this acquisition. So Utimaco is a leader in solutions for cybersecurity and compliance solutions. These are solutions which are highly compliant to standards, international standards, and also national standards. And with these products, we are securing data, identities, and also networks. So in different industries like telecommunication, but also in the banking sector, in production sector, automotive, for example, where we are very strong. Maybe on the next slide, if you change to the next one.
Go on. This is to advance to backward, and this is the pointer.
Okay. So why have we done this acquisition? So we joined our forces now with Celltick as a leading provider for public warning systems with special technologies and the basic technologies like cell broadcast, but also location-based SMS and other functionalities which are required in this area. So they are a worldwide leader with deployments in more than 25 countries. And Utimaco is especially providing compliance system also to the telecommunication sector and to government sector. So there we have also more than 300 deployments in more than 90 countries and good relations to the telecommunication networks, but also to governments via direct relations, but also indirect via partners. And so we are now joining our forces to address the customers with a more complete solution with the public warning system, but also other security solutions like PKI and advanced security, so that we have a broader offering to our customers, our joint customers. Also with the service capabilities, because Utimaco is also operating worldwide with affiliates in the US and in Asia and several affiliates in the EU. So we hope that we will fulfill the requirements of the customers and provide better services now in future. So I will hand over to Ronen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. So hi everyone, nice of you to be here. My name is Ronen Daniel. I'm the CEO of Celltick. And indeed, these are very exciting times for us. Now we are part of a much larger European company, and obviously it will help us to provide a better service for our customers in Europe and beyond Europe. A few words on Celltick. So we are a global leader of public warning systems, and we are also the world's largest provider of cell broadcast centers in terms of mobile operators and in terms of subscribers. So we have installed our system across 75 mobile network operators around the world in the last 22 years. We also installed our CBE in 5 governments. So we have an holistic system that covers the entire public warning system from A to Z. We're working in 25 countries. Our system broadcasts 1,000 alerts every day to a population of around 1 billion citizens, and this is because we are very much active in countries with large populations like India, Indonesia, Vietnam, Philippines, and so on. As I said, we have deployed our system in the last 2 years in 5 governments. One of the recent deployment is in Denmark. We've done it in Israel as well, in India, in Qatar, toward the upcoming World Cup in November, and recently in Ukraine. Now, in all these 5 countries, we've been selected to deploy both the CBE and all the CBCs besides Denmark. In Denmark, we just won 1 of the operators out of the 3, but in all other countries, we do all the operators. A few words on Ukraine. Ukraine, for me, was something which was very special. So first, they called me in the beginning of the war, in the beginning of March, and they asked me if we can provide them a system. I told them, guys, I don't need any money from you. You are in the middle of a war. We want to help. We want to save lives. I just have one request. Just gather all the operators in the room, because the operators are usually the tough cookies here. And let's work together. And if you guys are serious, we can deploy a system in weeks. And they surprised me. The day after, on Sunday afternoon, they prepared. They told me, look, we are ready. If you have time, let's jump on Zoom, and let's have the discussion. And indeed, they invited the operators, and the operators invited their own vendors, Huawei, Nokia, Ericsson, ZTE. Everyone was on the same conference. So we started the discussion. We told them what we needed to do. And in less than 2 months, we've deployed the entire system, and it's going to be commercial in Ukraine probably next week. So they wanted to come here and give their side of the story, but due to the obvious reasons, they couldn't make it. But they did give us a video testimony of 2 minutes, which they asked me to share with you.
My name is Alexander Didenko, and I am from Ukraine. Hello, everyone. Before the war had started, there was no any centralized emergency notification system in Ukraine at all. And that was a big issue, because we cannot inform people in advance when the bombing and shelling had been started. So we started to look at a solution that can inform people timely and also precise in terms of geolocation. Moreover, we need a solution which we can implement very fast. Professionals from emergency service as well as volunteers started investigated experience of other countries. We sent applications to many vendors and developers. Actually, the first who is replied to us very fast during 2 hours become our friend and partner for this project. They explain us that they can faster the process, and we follow them. So today is 28th of April, and the cooperation started on the beginning of March. During this mostly 2 months, we was able to pass all technical integrations. And 2 weeks ago, our government announced that we're testing this system nationwide. This case shows that if you unite professional people and motivated people and great team, we can do great things. And I would like to use this opportunity to tell thank you to the Celltick CEO, Ronen Daniel, as well to other volunteers and company who help us in the project a lot. I hope we will deploy this system in commercial soon, and it may help to save people's lives. Also, I will be happy to share you any details you need upon your request. You can find my contacts on LinkedIn. Thank you again, and take care.
Yeah, so the lesson that we learned here is that what takes usually different countries years to implement. We can implement in weeks if there is a will and if there is a cooperation. So it's very important for any government which wish to deploy a public warning system is to collaborate with the operators, get them on board, and then everything is becoming much easier. So I mentioned the 80 cell broadcast deployments. So 5 were governments, 75 other are operators. So you can see here part of the largest operators in the world. So just to give you an idea, in terms of RAN controllers, if an average operator in Europe has 100, 200 RAN controllers, in India, every operator has around 2,500. So we're talking about massive deployments, sometimes across different time zones. And then this is a lot of experience that we gathered in the last 22 years. So as many people say before, it's start usually with cell broadcast or location-based, but it never stops there. There is a need, and there is actually request and demand from customers to use apps for first responders, radio alerts, TV alerts, Google public alerts, social media, ATM screens, everything that is connectable can be connected to this system. And actually in Denmark, we are now asked to connect the system also their legacy siren system. And this is not an easy task because, I mean, CAP is not a magic word here. CAP is a very wide term. It means different things to different people. And it always has to be customized. And you always have to find creative solution to bridge the systems that are legacy systems and are not really digital and connect them in a very creative way to our system. So we do all this in Qatar, for instance. We've been asked by the government to connect the system to the most cloud speakers. So there are all kinds of requirements, and eventually everything will be connected to these systems. In fact, we started to work already on the next generation, which is not only alerting, but also utilizing IoT, take some action as well, like open shelters from remote. So there are lots of progress with this system, and cell broadcast and location-based MS is only the beginning. So the heart of the system is the command post. Actually, some people call it by mistake CBE. CBE is cell broadcast entity, but in our case, it does much more than managing cell broadcast alerts. It connects to all these channels that you can see here. So it includes gateways to all kinds of dissemination channels, and on the other hand, it includes inputs for all kinds of sensors. Now, the command post is a very sophisticated system because every organization has a different working procedure. So we have some customers that one person compiles the message, the other person approves the message, and the third person actually disseminates the message. We have customers that everything is done by one person. And we have cases also that in case of real emergencies, everything is done automatically without a human touch. Now, in real life, even though you can draw polygon on the map and compile messages and create the text, nothing is done ad hoc. Everything is pre-planned. So it includes a lot of libraries, lots of predefined areas, and the system and the operator can actually fetch everything that has been predefined and pre-prepared in advance when it is needed. That's okay. In terms of the CBC, then I will not use the small text to actually explain the benefits of our product. I mean, you can see it very much here. It supports all networks, 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G. We work with all the radio vendors, and we support all emergency broadcasts today. Besides, we provide the operators a very nice CBE tool for them to configure the system to create the dashboard that they need to have in order to report to the government when the government asks them questions, profiles, management, permission, reports, everything is done through this modern CBE for the MNO. Now, of course, as a mission critical system, everything has to be resilient and redundant. So in most of our installation, we deploy 4 systems in 2 geographical sites. So as you can see here, all the modules, all the connections are multiplied. So in this way, and this is done on the application level, not on the hardware level. So when one system gets down, the other one takes control immediately at no time. And this is why we can commit on real zero downtime implementation. Beside the CBC, as I said, our suite includes also app, the native app for Android and iOS. It can be used for the citizens, not very efficient because usually they don't download it, but it is very effective for first responders. It includes the alerts, of course, further information that you cannot do with cell broadcast. Also some content on how to behave before, in the meets, and after the emergency event. It can be, of course, customized by every country. We have also a unique solution which we call SIM alert. In this case, we put an app on the SIM card of the device. So that's a complementary solution to cell broadcast or location-based SMS. And this app is connected to our command post. So when we send a message to a certain polygon, the app is displayed on the phone in the very same way like it displayed on cell broadcast. It's also interactive, as you can see. It works on any kind of phone, also the legacy old phones. And the beauty of it is that it requires zero integration with a mobile operator. There's no work. They just need to put the app on the SIM card. Today it's very easy because the SIM card supports BIP, which is an IP connectivity. So the app can be uploaded to the SIM by the operator. And in this case, we have an app with lots of capabilities, and it does not require any action or any configuration from the end user. As I said, the system also supports TV alerts. This is how it looks like. So we can connect to digital publishers, legacy publishers, and usually every country has a mix. So I can just testify on ourselves that we are a bunch of very experienced guys. We saw it all. We are very eager, and we will never delay a project. So if you count on us, then we can assure you that the project will be completed on time with zero problems. Thanks very much. I see Emily is impressed.
Thank you, Ronen. Some of you may have recognized the chap from Ukraine, Alexander Dyadenko. He's been here many times. He's a colleague of mine. 4 years ago, we got incredibly celebratory and drunk on the banks of the river in Kiev, celebrating the birth of my granddaughter. He's a friend of mine. He speaks so highly of Ronen and his team, but he does emphasize that the team effort to install that was quite a considerable effort and an achievement to do it in that time. So from him and his countrymen, he passes more thanks to you. And I know I spoke to you yesterday. Do we have any questions? One question. There we go. First.
First of all, well done for the deployment of the public warning system of Ukraine. It's so few weeks, really well done. A question to you. We have seen your solution eSIM. Why cell broadcast and not eSIM? Was it faster cell broadcast rather than eSIM? What was the advantages? How did you decide? Thank you.
Okay, so thanks for the question and the compliments, Emily. This is coming from a competition. I mean, this is not taken for granted. Look, cell broadcast is the de facto standard. And this is what people know, and this is what they put in their RFPs. So most people, they are not even aware of the SIM solution. And when we get into a closer touch with the customer, then we educate them and we explain them about the SIM solution. Actually, it works fantastically, and it can be deployed in days because you just need to put it on the SIM, and this can be done very fast. The command post is there, and it works without any integration. So that's the beauty of it. It requires data connection, which is not a problem in Europe, but might be a problem in developing countries. But it's definitely a good complementary solution. And it also works for enterprises and smaller organizations than governments and nations.
I think we have time for one more question quickly.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. Just want to know the implementation in India.
Yes.
Is it done, or how much time it took? And second is, what's the challenges you faced with the telecom operators there?
Okay.
Thank you.
May I ask, where are you from?
I'm from India.
No, of course.
Everbridge.
Okay. So no problem. I'll educate you. Yeah. So yes, the implementation has been completed actually day before yesterday. It's in the first state is Andhra Pradesh, as you probably know. Now it was easier for us to do it in India because we had our CBC connected to the mobile operators there even for many years ago, because we started cell broadcast also for commercial purposes. Because we had like a patented solution that allowed operators to make a lot of money with our cell broadcast solution. So this is why we have cell broadcast scattered all over the place. And only in the recent years we have started to shift it towards public warning system. Actually, first time we started to do that was in the tsunami in 2004 in Asia, when we were installed in countries like Sri Lanka and India, by Hutch at the time, AIS in Thailand, Telecom in Indonesia, and when we got the message that the tidal wave was coming, then we decided on our own idea to stop the commercial broadcast and start to alert people to run from the seashores to the mountains, saving lives. And then we realized that even after the event, I mean, there was a lot of need for emergency services because we had to direct people where the food and where the water are located and what to do next. And then we decided that maybe there is something here and maybe we should just open a different line of public warning systems. So for us, it was easier because once you are established in a huge operator in India like Vodafone or Airtel, it's very hard to take you out and replace your system.
Okay. Ronen, thank you very much. That was fascinating. And can I wish you and Utimaco all the best in your new commercial venture together.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again.
Thanks.
Next up, we have Thierry Darras from Opencode, who is the sales director for APAC. And I've come across them a few times in that country. My own company is quite heavy and has got quite a considerable presence in that area. So, Thierry, over to you.
Let me just learn how is it working. To this one. Okay. And backwards. This is the pointer. Okay. Thank you for coming. I am Thierry Darras from Opencode. I will show you what we do and some examples, some use cases coming from customers. The agenda is this one. First, company overview, because I have to present the company anyway. Why we need modern emergency systems. A few examples and some technology about cell broadcast, LB, SMS, and other channels. Then a short presentation of our technology and platform, and then a few ideas and questions. About Opencode, we founded the company about 20 years ago. We are not coming from your sector. We are mainly coming from network operators business. Most of our activity is to sell systems to network operators. And we came to a public warning via the cell broadcast because one of our customers asked for this solution, and then we entered this market. We discovered EENA. Thanks again for the very good organization. And then we are here. We are about 170 people. We are in about 70 countries, in about 60 countries, 70 operators, mobile operators. We have offices in Asia, Malaysia, Thailand. We have offices in Middle East, in Europe, a lot of offices in Northern Africa, and then in Africa. So why, you know this perhaps better than us, but why we need emergency systems? I personally think that coming decades will be complicated. First topic, I saw this morning on the TV that we were discussing India. You have 50 degrees in India currently, those days, and in Pakistan. Pandemics, you know that century after century we have more and more pandemics. We may think that medicine is better, but in fact, no, we have more and more pandemics. We got this subprime crisis, but the next financial crisis will be perhaps even worse. And then we have social events that also may come. So this is why people need special systems to be alerted. You have examples from Germany, from Japan, Greece, and some other countries. So we think, and Europe thought that the best way to reach people, or the main way, are via mobile phones. By chance, we are working with operators, so we have a good place here. Major wireless channels are cell broadcast and SMS. And then we have a lot of complementary, I would say, or additional ways to reach people, like PSTN, voice, IPTVs, mobile data, mobile apps, panels, and so on and so on. Cell broadcast, we started public warning with cell broadcast in Middle East. Then we also got references in Asia, in Hong Kong, then in Ecuador, in South America. The Aero Alert here in Europe is also from us. I will try to show you some examples. This one is about, the picture is in Hong Kong, where we have an end-to-end system, CBE and CBC, where they were pushing alerts to indicate to people that if they have COVID, they have to go to specific hospitals that were dedicated to COVID and not to go to other hospitals and disseminate the pandemic. We also do location SMS, because location SMS have also some advantages compared to cell broadcast. Cell broadcast is easy technology. You can deliver alerts to millions of people in few seconds, but it's not interactive. LB SMS can be interactive, and then you can target people with specific messages. Coming with LBSMS, you must collect information, location information, and subscriber information for the network, and then build a database. And using this database, you can have what we call heat maps. This is heat maps we have in Thailand, where you can show the density of the subscribers, how they are moving, and so on, where they are located. Of course, this is anonymized because we don't have to share the location and the MSID and so other data from the customers, from the subscribers. Then you have mobile apps, social medias via specific APIs. We have also IPTV, digital TV, radios, and so on. We have this, I guess, in Romania. We made tests with the IPTV. Voice broadcast is also a channel to inform people, so you can subscribe for this, and then you can have numbers, and then we can call such numbers to send alerts. Okay, this one is coming to our technology and specific platform. So we have this kind of platform on the left. We have the portal where the authorities can design the polygons, enter the alerts, manage the rights, authorization, and so on and so on. Then we have the core of our system, which is the wireless emergency alert platform. On the top, we are connected to run network elements to the radio of the mobile operators for cell broadcast. Then we are connected to the core networks, SMSs, or directly to the signaling for LB-SMS. Then we can be connected to the fixed network for voice. And then we are connected to many equipments and other channels like TV, radio, apps, and so on and so on. All of that using specific APIs or the famous CAP 1.2 API, of course. This is an example of our portal integration in Bahamas, where we have an end-to-end system. Here we have what we call the CBE, because it is cell broadcast, but we have also the cell broadcast. And then we integrated this CBE in the full crisis management system, and then they can pop up our public warning system and then send cell broadcast alerts. Last slide is our feeling is that Europe, we see that most of countries went to the cell broadcast. Some countries were equipped, like Norway, Belgium, and so on, with LB-SMS. Portugal is equipped with LB-SMS, but thinking also of cell broadcast. So we see that cell broadcast is the first choice quite everywhere. But cell broadcast is not the only technology. Then we can put additional channels like LB-SMS and all the channels we saw. Okay, that's it. If you have questions. Competitors or not.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Thierry. That was excellent, really informative. Questions? Questions for Thierry?
Hello, just a quick one. You showed the mass location anonymized. How accurate is that? Is that based upon cell level, or do you use your SMS, or what do you use to get the mass location information?
Basically, this is based on the cell ID. It could be a few tenths of meter in the center of cities, or can be much more in the countryside.
Okay, all right. Do customers ever ask you for greater accuracy when it comes to mass? Obviously, anonymization being key.
Depends a lot on what we can collect from the network, because when we have heat map or LB-SMS, the problem, in fact, is to grab from the network all the location and all the signaling, and the network is not down for that. So depends, we have to put probes or rely on existing probes. Probes can be on the radio network or on the core. We have to check all the signaling, and this is the nightmare of LB-SMS, because some people think that LB-SMS is very simple. You just push to the network and it's working, but in fact the network is not done at all for that. SMS, it's a messaging system, one person to person. So depends on what we collect from the network.
Totally agree with you. Totally agree.
Any further questions?
For a public authority that's considering deploying cell broadcast, for example, and this is probably more of a general industry question, what's the split of public authorities that have a single cell broadcast infrastructure which deals with all of the networks versus maybe a cell broadcast center in each network? And the same for location-based SMS. If you could comment on that, that'd be good. Thank you.
Yeah, cell broadcast can be centralized or not. Some countries or customers, like Romania, for example, even if it's a quite big country, they decided to have a central system, of course, with redundancy and so on and so on. We are connected to 4 mobile operators that are big operators, and it's working very fine. They started the system, I don't know, 5 years ago, and they sent thousands of alerts without any problem. Some other countries, like Germany, for example, decided that the cell broadcast is for operators and they have to manage it. Good or not, of course, the price will not be the same. Is the redundancy better? I don't know. Our systems are in general very reliable. Depends also on the size of the country. In Bahamas, of course, we have 2 or 3 operators, but the system is central, of course. So it depends on the politics, and you know, between authorities and operators, sometimes it's a little bit difficult. Because when you go to operators and you say, okay, you have to put a cell broadcast, they say, what's the revenue from it? And so it depends who pays. That's complex question, like the signaling one.
Thank you. Any further questions? More questions? Thierry, thank you very much.
Thank you to you all. Thank you, EENA.
Next up, and we're well ahead of time, not that I'm encouraging you to speak longer, but next up we have PertSol and their chief executive, Mitesh Vageriya, who's going to give us a short presentation on his products. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. This is our first time in EENA. We are a completely Indian organization now expanding across the world. So while we discuss quite a lot about CBC, cell broadcast, and mass alert systems and everything, I wouldn't waste more of your time on this. As a PertSol, first I'll brief you what exactly we do. We have been working on the law enforcement side since last 7 years now, and on the telecom service provider side since 7 years as well. And what we'll talk about today is more of a geo-target location-based messaging and location-based alert system, which is something which we are going to see over the years, and which is something what is going to be need of time. Can I get this? Oh, sorry. So PertSol, we were founded in 2014, 8 years of operations. We are quite new company, but we have done a lot of R&D, and we have been providing telecom solutions over the period of time. We have our own 4G core network as well, which is implemented at one of the service providers across the world. At the same time, we provide solutions for lawful interception, monitoring, IP log management, location tracking, LBS services, and many similar solutions across the globe. Right, so our purpose was to create more complex platforms, more simple solutions for anything to do with the law enforcement agencies, compliance, anything to do with saving the masses, give location to the masses. So our first project that we started off was location-based services, mainly to provide location for emergency number in India. While world was evolving to 911, 112, which was more centralized location platform. India started implementing this in 2016, and we were the first one to create a centralized location platform to provide location for emergency services in India, which was for one of the largest state in India, which is Uttar Pradesh, and which has got more than a population of about 120 million. So which would be like a population of more any country that we talk about. About 80% of the countries in the world would be lesser in population than that. Today, we provide location for half of the country in India for emergency services, and we take care of more than 500,000 location requests on a daily basis when it comes to location tracking for emergency services. At the same time, we provide telecom regulatory compliance, so lawful interception system. We replaced Variant in a record period of 3 months in India, wherein the entire BSNL network in India was replaced with our lawful interception system. We provide a platform called as IP log management system. So now when more and more people are moving towards usage of data, usage of data services, we currently capture more than 500 Gbps of traffic, process it, and store the entire IP log, IP records of such customers. So today, we process about 5 trillion records on an yearly basis, which can be mined to identify what were the browsing done by the users, what services they utilize, and everything. So this gets involved into privacy, but this is a solution that we are implementing across the globe. Today, many countries are moving towards IP log management platform, and we support layer 7 interception monitoring to capture and analyze the data, which will help in tracking any kind of crime or anything tomorrow. So while lawful interception systems is more to do with the voice calls, as people move more towards VoIP, they move more towards data services, IP log management system will be the one which will be playing a major role today. Then we evolved into providing mass alert system and the messaging platform. We didn't get much into the cell broadcast kind of a solution because there were many larger players in the market. And our solution is more based on providing location-based alert systems, tracking the response providers, and providing targeted alerts. We are moving to the IoT-enabled services, and we do have a lot of fraud management, revenue assurance platform, and other analytical platform that we provide today. Right, so as we discussed, over the period of last 7 to 8 years, we have grown into many telecom solutions over time. We are one of the core solution provider across the globe, wherein we have our own in-house telecom network for local LTE network and everything, and we are planning to provide 5G solutions in next 6 months. Telecom regulatory compliance, we provide end-to-end platform for any kind of location platforms, any kind of regulatory compliances. Let it be interception monitoring, IP log management system, remote access, or anything to do with the security of the country or a state as a whole. We have our own location intelligence platform, which mainly takes care of positioning and everything. Then mass messaging system and location-based alert system. This is something what we are going to discuss about today. And there are other IoT solutions which we work with third party. We don't have our own sensors, but we have our own IoT platform which does this integration. Right, so nowadays generally when we talk about distress call, we provide emergency services for a distress caller by identifying his location through a telecom network. We are not going with the app-based model, but we majorly go with the telecom network analytical model to identify people who are in a particular area and respond to the emergencies. So what we're going to talk about today is what is going to be need of time tomorrow. So talking about geo-targeted alerts and geo-targeted response system. As we talked about COVID recently. There was COVID throughout the world. The biggest problem was to track the masses. So if there was people who entered into the country, which all places they moved in, right? We won't talk about privacy here. If you talk about security, you talk about saving the lives, privacy needs to be kept aside. So I wouldn't mix these two parts because we are working on the other side of it. So privacy is something, a separate concern where governments have to work onto it. Right, so coming to this part, when we talk about geo-targeted alerts, we talk about tracking the masses to help the nations build secure system, to help all the citizens in the country. So if we had a system where we were able to identify movement of people who are in quarantine, there wouldn't be requirement of an institutional quarantine. So I'll give you an example. When India was under lockdown for a period of 6 to 9 months, it was our platform which helped in quarantining many people at home and ensuring that they were not moving out. It also helped in tracking many contacts that they have had by just processing the locations. So if there was a hotspot defined, we were able to identify people whom they have come in contact with as well. So for example, how this will help. Tomorrow, when we talk about an earthquake, right, there are many people who are inside the debris. Now, how do you know who were there in that particular area? There could have been new visitors, there could have been new entrants. So we mainly talk about profiling the people on a continuous basis so that you are able to identify post-event, pre-event, how many people were there in that particular area. And finally, this will help in sending out geo-targeted alerts. While cell broadcast will be more towards a particular cellular site and everything, when you go with the geo-targeted alerts, you can go to each customer, know who is there in that particular area, and talk to him one-to-one. Right, so geo-targeted alerts, I'll give you one example of landslide that I'm working with one of the state in India. So there are a lot of landslides in majorly mountainous areas that we talk about, like if I talk about hilly areas or things like that. Now, generally people are trying to take those particular roads. Now, you don't want to create a panic in an entire area by sending a message saying there's been a landslide. But you mainly want to reach out to the people who are driving on that particular road so that they stop taking that particular route altogether. So that is one place where we talk about geo-targeted alerts, identifying the people who are on the highways, who are on the main roads, and only send alerts to those people. Now there are protests, there are rallies, there are a group of people who are doing demonstration. There could be a rumor which is there in that particular area. So geo-targeted alerts will help people help in sending out alerts only to specific people in such rallies and things like that. Same thing applies for floods, traffic jams. COVID-19 is a new thing, and tomorrow when you see a lot of infectious diseases and everything, geo-targeted alerts and geo-profiling will be the key thing that would be required across the globe. Right, so our public warning system is majorly based on this particular model, wherein we integrate with the entire telecom network on the right, on the backend side. On the front end, we can integrate with any kind of services that we talk about for communicating with the end user. It can be WhatsApp, it can be Facebook, it can be Twitter-based integration, it can be direct SMS to the user. So we have tested our platform to process about 100,000 SMSs per second when we have a good bandwidth with a telecom service provider. So you can send out messages to tens of millions of customers within a one minute time frame. Because in a scenario, when we talk about scenarios like earthquake or anything, you don't have much time to talk to people. You just have 15 seconds to a minute, and you need to be able to send the alerts to them right away. Right. Same way, we have a voice platform, which is an automatic dialer, supports text to voice conversion, and sends out voice alerts to any kind of landline or anything like that. Right. So our platform majorly does the integration at the TSP end, wherein on the TSP side, we integrate with the entire telecom network, capture the data. This data is not sent with shared with the public authority. We create a layer in between which will be taking care of profiling and sending across the messages. But from the public authority perspective, you will only be geofencing, defining, and getting the reports that you are asking for. Right, so when we talk about offline data capture mode, which generally, wherein you take this data from the CDRs or something. So there are two ways to do location-based alerting mainly when it comes to masses. One is to do it based on the offline data, which is coming from CDRs or other data sets. It will help in a faster rollout of this solution, but at the same time, this data will be old. So if I was talking about a particular area, who all have entered, I might be having this data which is 1 hour old, 2 hour old, or maybe we might not be knowing any of this information if we have not got it for, we have not got, here the person has not made any particular calls. But at the same time, when we go with an active solution, what we'll be able to get is a real-time data of all the subscribers that are there in this particular area. We implement probes at the telecom service provider end, wherein we are analyzing each and every customer who is there, and then profiling and maintaining the location of all such people, so that whenever there is an alert to be sent or whenever you need to profile, the data will be available right away. And this can be kept and stored for a period of longer duration for post-analytics and identifying the contacts and everything. Right, so just to highlight our capabilities, we do support geo-targeted alerts, geofencing based on the hotspot. We have a multiple channels, so you can keep on adding the channels that you require. Plus, at the same time, we have a two-tier approach so that all the information is not sent towards the law enforcement agency, but we create a barrier in between wherein only the requests are sent across to the telecom service providers and the data is disseminated from their end. And we do support speech-to-text conversion and automatic congestion control. These are some of our customers for various projects. We work with British Telecom, where we do interception and monitoring for them. Ring Central, BSNL, Nokia, ZTE are one of our largest customers. We have completely delivered large LI platforms to them across various states. APSFL is our customer, where we do a lot of interception monitoring for them. Srinagar Smart City is for the mass alert system that we are deploying. L&T, Tata Projects, Mahindra Defense, GVK, these are where we have provided emergency location services. We are partnered with many people across the globe. Currently, our presence is into 4 countries, and we plan to expand this to another 5 more countries within the next 2 years. I thank you all for your time, and any questions you do let me know. Sure.
Thank you, Mitesh. Any questions?
Thank you very much for the presentation. It's quite impressive. I'm particularly impressed about the sort of the level of granularity with the geolocation that you can reach, and I was wondering how is that affecting the way agencies communicate with the population with that level of detail, and potentially the strategies to communicate to the population. And a follow-up question, and maybe that's for all the people who presented this morning, is when you deploy these kind of solutions, do you also include some form of training, for example, of the operational community to facilitate that potential change?
Yes, so I'll answer the second part. We take care of the entire training to the team to ensure that you are able to maintain and run the system by yourself. Now, the first part, answering that on how it helps the law enforcement agencies or the people using that system, is mainly you are able to profile the people in a particular area on a continuous basis. It helps in identifying what happened before the event, after the event. You can also identify where there is a crowding taking place. In many underdeveloped nations, you have issues of people collecting together, creating riots and everything, so it helps there as well. So there are unlimited possibilities, and you can use this solution for multiple purposes. Right.
Any other questions? Microphone's coming.
Hi, thanks for the presentation again. Just want to check for India, you said you have implemented Dial 100, right? In Uttar Pradesh, yeah. Is it an LB solution, LB location-based solution, or for the Dial 100 emergency center?
It's a location-based solution for UP 112. That was UP 100 earlier, now it is UP 112.
Okay.
And at the same time, there we provide location for any caller that we are talking about in the network, and we are integrated with all the telecom service providers to give an accurate location of that particular
And that goes to the command center somewhere?
It goes completely to the command center and the CAD platform which has been implemented over there.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would answer the question about the training. Yes, of course. We provide training, support, and so on and so on. But all of us, I guess.
Yeah, we do.
First question is about anonymization of data. Are you doing this? Because when you collected the data in Europe, we have this GDPR normalization, and you cannot send this personal info to third parties, and we are very strict on this.
So what exactly we do is, like I said, we have a filtration layer. We don't send this data out of the telecom service provider at all. We implement a part of the system which is lying at the telecom service provider end. And from the law enforcement agency perspective, you're just requesting messages or requests being sent to this particular customer. So then mobile numbers are not shared with the law enforcement agencies at all, or neither their location, but only requests are received from the law enforcement agency, which are executed at the operator end. But there could be one instance at a later date wherein the central government or the government authorities need this data immediately because of some reasons. So that would all be dependent on the mandate of the government. But as of now, we create a filtration level wherein we don't send this data towards the LEA, but it is more of a request API kind of a mechanism. Yeah.
I will abuse and ask another question.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
I think it's obvious that you use SMS as notification because I saw SMPP.
Yeah.
So as an ex-tech guy, I guess. But do you use data, cell broadcast also channels? Or?
So we do support cell broadcast channel as well. For example, we do integrate with Celltick as well in India for one of the solution through CDOT, that is Center of which they are combining the entire cell broadcast system across in the country. So we do support cell broadcast through the cell broadcast platform, which is implemented as a telecom service provider.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any further questions? I did sense a sharp intake of breath when you mentioned the point about setting privacy aside from a European-based audience who live and breathe GDPR, and as a CIO of a police service in the UK who ran the biggest privacy unit in the government in the UK. What I would say is there is a process to be followed to ensure that privacy is respected at all times, and it's preempted and pre-thought through. You mix lawful intercept into that, where this becomes incredibly complicated legally, and I think keeping those issues separate for the privacy discussion is probably a very advisable thing to do, because very specific laws sit around lawful intercept that have a very specific legal pathway into the privacy laws, and they're not quite the same privacy laws that you would have for telecoms data generally, especially around mass broadcasting, location-based systems and emergencies. Right. And operational imperatives can always cut over it. But I did sense a sharp intake of breath with that statement. So maybe
I do understand that.
Keep the two issues quite separate, and then you avoid the... does anyone have any general questions before we finish the session? No? Ronen, Thierry, Mitesh, thank you very much. Very informative session, and thank you everyone for your questions.